This is Talk, the Home of Common Sense, with me, Julia Hartley-Brewer. Claire Pearsall still with me. Delighted to be joined right now from the States by Amy Tarkanian. She's a Republican strategist and former chair of the Nevada Republican Party, to talk about their second assassination attempt on Donald Trump yesterday. Good morning to you, Amy.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. I have to say, it is quite extraordinary that we're in this situation yet again with some sort of 50 days to go before the election. Ryan Wesley Routh has been named as the suspect in this possible assassination attempt, a man who has actually voted for Donald Trump in 2016 but has been online and various other times and very, very critical of Donald Trump since then. But just talk us through the circumstances in which he was, well, spotted and then later caught.
Sure. Well, this individual was able to take his equipment along with a GoPro, because that just shows that he had the he wanted to actually record the assassination.
And when you say equipment, an AK-47 style rifle?
Yes, correct. Along with a scope, which is an attachment to make his aim even that much more accurate. And so he had this equipment that was stashed in a bush where he was hiding. There happened to be an innocent bystander who saw him with his equipment and trying to take off on foot and get into a vehicle. Thankfully, this individual was quick on his feet and was able to jot down the driver's license, give it to security. There were two groups of security that were actually following Donald Trump on the golf course at this time. There was one in front, and then there was detail in back. And so thankfully, the detail in front also caught wind that there was an individual where he shouldn't be. And so the combination of the two successfully were able to capture this madman, if you will. There's also, if you look on his social media feed, he talks about the Ukraine war incessantly. He even tried to interject himself and went to the Ukraine war and tried to participate in their armed forces, and he was denied. And so, we're not sure still on what his motive is. We do know, though, out of the two top candidates here in the U.S., that Donald Trump has been very vocal about wanting to slow down or possibly end the funding of the Ukraine war. So that could very well be a possibility. But this man, it's not his first time. He does have a rap sheet. He's originally from Hawaii. He had spent a lot of time in North Carolina. He has, a hit and run. He's had troubles with the law dealing with concealed weapons. He actually barricaded himself for over 3 hours using another weapon of mass destruction. And then he was actually let off on probation. So there's a major conversation that needs to be had with our justice system. And why was he let through the cracks?
Exactly. I mean, what's so extraordinary is it does mean shots were fired, and Donald Trump issued a statement quite soon after to say, look, I'm absolutely fine, I'm safe. But we understand that it was, the security detail with Donald Trump stays with him, and also the security detail that goes ahead, particularly when he's playing golf. This is a golf club. The Trump International Club is somewhere where he plays regularly in Florida. And they go ahead and they scout ahead. And so he was some 500 yards behind. But one of his details spotted this man with the rifle, with the scope, through the fence. Shots were fired. The man then runs off, and then he's spotted by this witness who thankfully took his vehicle details down. So
and then, Julia, the bigger question is, did this man just know that Donald Trump is a creature of habit? Or did he actually catch wind that he was going to be playing at that moment? Because his schedule actually for that round of golf was not released to the public.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. He's regularly played there, but was it just a stroke of luck, for want of a better expression, for this shooter? But this is the thing. The question I have about this is the level of security for the president, because we played the clip earlier. Palm Beach County Sheriff Rick Bradshaw speaking to reporters last night, and they talked about security. He said, well, you've got to understand the golf course surrounded by shrubbery, so when somebody gets into the shrubbery, they're pretty much out of sight. Yeah, of course. That would be why you would therefore protect against someone getting into the shrubbery, would you not? And bearing in mind the shrubbery is right near the road. All right, he says, but at this level that he is right now, Donald Trump, he's not the sitting president. If he was, we would have this entire golf course surrounded. Well, because he's not, security is limited to the areas that the Secret Service deems possible. Now, there were already huge criticisms of the Secret Service for a blatant, outrageous failure when he was shot, and actually shot in the ear in another attempted assassination attempt over the summer. And the lack lack of security, even though there were clear concerns about the man with the gun on the roof in clear plain sight, so plain sight that a number of people in the crowd went, hey, there's a guy on the roof with a gun, you know, and nothing was done. It is extraordinary that his security has not been beefed up to the extent that perhaps we would have expected, simply because he's, quote, not president anymore. Even though he was president, he wants to be president again. I would have thought that the same level of security should apply.
Oh, I would agree 100%. And actually, it was really nice to see that both Kamala Harris and then President Biden come out forcefully against the violence. And President Biden said, hey, listen, you know, I extend every thing necessary that you may need from your security detail. You know, it's yours.
But they've said that. No, but that's been said before. The Secret Service have said that before.
But I thought that it was good coming from the White House this time, and it came across fairly quickly. Now, I would have hoped that they would have done that after the first attempt. But the fact that we're now here talking about it within just roughly, you know, a couple months apart from each other, it's completely asinine. You know, does the man even have a food taste tester? I mean, I'm not even joking at this point.
Well, exactly.
You know?
But then what do you make of all the claims that it's rhetoric and the claims from the MAGA, the Trump side, that there is all this rhetoric that has gone on the Democrat side, this existential battle between good and evil, that you know, the democracy is under threat if Donald Trump becomes president again, saying that this has made it more likely that he'd be a target? Or do you think actually it's a plague on both sides, simply because, you know, actually Donald Trump, you know, talks about saving America and the existential threat himself? So are they all as bad as each other?
Oh, I think they're both at fault. I mean, if you look at two elections prior, you had what was called the Summer of Love, which is actually tongue-in-cheek, because you had cities that were being overran by the far left that were very unhappy, and they were knocking statues down that they deemed racist. And there was nothing being done with these individuals, and they were taking over and setting up tents and virtually destroying businesses. And they allowed it to happen for quite some time. And then now you have, unfortunately, the most recent on the Republican side, where President Trump is claiming that, you know, roughly 20,000 migrants from Haiti are eating pets. And so now you've had the Springfield, Ohio hospital have to shut down on multiple occasions because of bomb threats. So it starts at the top. Both of them need to knock it off, stick to the issues, instead of throwing lodging verbal bombs.
That said, in no way is anything anyone said justified someone making bomb threats against a hospital or even schools, I believe, as well. I mean, those people are entirely responsible for their own. I mean, if someone says you should go and bomb a hospital, then they're responsible. I'm very wary. We've had this thing in Britain where people sending, I think, some very unpleasant tweets, some very nasty tweets, some definitely criminal, but some also rather innocuous tweets, commentary tweets, facing prison right now, some even having been imprisoned, when they've not actually, you know, lifted a weapon, done anything. I'm very wary of blaming what people say for actions which are far beyond what someone has said.
Sure. And you unfortunately can't control crazy, and you have plenty of that out there. And, you know, and so where do you draw the line? And that's where I think, you know, now in a day and age where we do have social media, we have the 30-second blurbs, you do have the memes that are meant to be, you know, a knee slapper and just meant to be, you know, all fun. But some people take it in the wrong way, and then you also have it then combined with misinformation and disinformation. And there's just those individuals that are not mentally well that are able to differentiate what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we should wait and see what happens in terms of sentencing. Thank you very much indeed. Really appreciate you joining us, Amy Tarkanian, Republican strategist there.